question is, what would the world look like when Moshiach comes? That is something that traditionally, because of religion, everybody has their take on it. More often than not, it's just a mirror into their own insecurities, of punishing other people, of showing everybody we were right or anything like that. Actually, the Maimonides, the Rambam, says that Mashiach is not coming in order to punish the wicked or to do anything like that. Mashiach's coming more in order to the purpose of creation from the beginning. And also, the world is not going to change that drastically, not for at least for the first phase of the days of Mashiach. The first days of Mashiach, first phase could be up to 1,000 years. It says that there's no difference between this world and the days of Mashiach, except for a difference in how the human race behaves, which means there's still banks, still subways, people are still working. The world that we see around us is exactly the same world, especially with technology. The difference is there's no envy, there's no competition. The ego is actually being taken out of the equation. So now think about all the human advances that we've experienced recently in health, in social sciences, in obviously in economics, in technology, and all these different things. And what's holding us back? What's holding us back is the risk of using these technologies and these advances against each other. So the advances in medicine are growing at the same time with biological warfare. The new technology gives rise also to more war. And the gap between the rich and the poor is widening to where there's basically people who are burning money and are just basically amassing huge reserves of cash which they or their family will never use. It's rotting away in a bank account. And there's people on the other side of the world who are starving, literally.
So in some way you said everything will stay the same, but if there are no ego, where you see Hollywood or other industries that it's based, or entertainment world?
It's a great question. Well, let me get back to this question in 1 second. The tools and the advances the human race put into place are actually fulfilling the purpose of creation. We're going to hopefully speak a little bit more about Kabbalah. We're going to speak more about God and why is this world here, which is a question that we all ask. The ultimate answer, which will hopefully be explained as we go along, is to bring from potential to actuality. In fact, in Messianic Times, which are practically here, our judgment of our success will not be measured in monetary terms or power terms or influence or anything like that, but rather in how well did I fulfill my own potential. Obviously, it sounds impossible in our social, emotional state right now. But if you think about a rectified world, which is all that Messianic Times is really supposed to be, take the ego out of it, which allows for truth to shine. And think about in our own lives. Sometimes we can't accept truth because of our own ego, our own self-love. Truth about ourselves, truth about our business, truth about loved ones, truth about the world. So if we stop lying to ourselves, we stop hiding and looking at ourselves and each other through the lenses of ego, all of a sudden you're able to measure yourself to the true metric of your success, which is, what are your God-given abilities and did you fulfill them? Which means, if your mother told you since you were a baby that you have to be a heart surgeon, and you became a heart surgeon, and you're living a miserable life, and it's affecting your family and your treatment of others and your life and your quality of life, even though from the outside someone will see you driving a fancy car and living in a big house, and you're a heart surgeon, you didn't fulfill yourself. Your life is a failure because you're not who you are supposed to be. Whereas if that person was a school teacher, which was their God-given mission in life, they would feel that personal that fulfillment of their personal mission. They would feel it on a daily and even hourly and second by second basis.
So what I'm supposed to be? How do I know if what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be?
We're so deep into it.
Huh?
You have to. It's a lot of work, but it's not an easy question. It sounds easy.
So 90% of the people will find out that they're not doing what they're supposed to be? Or what is the percentage of the people that know or doing the purpose of they want to do, they're supposed to do? Or if it's not about what you're doing, but how you're doing things?
Well, it's funny because you're forgetting one thing. It's not that, the Messiah is revealed and all of a sudden, oh man, I got to change jobs.
I knew it.
When the Messiah is revealed, there's going to be things you think about first before what you're doing for a living.
No, it's not even for living. It's purpose. The
purpose will be changed immediately.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's happening already. And what we have now, which is, on a cosmic timetable, we're holding at the exact moment of the revelation of the Messiah. It sounds weird to say it, by the way. It makes me feel, it's weird to say these words because it sounds so not real, and who do you think you are, and what do you think you're talking about? But the fact is, that's the place where we're looking. If you look at the human race and you look at what we're thinking about, if you look at our value system, if you look at what movies now are about, you're seeing that we're all coming to the same question of who we are and why are we here. And you know what? Even 50 years ago, we couldn't ask that question because we're too busy with survival. Just like a cat's not worried about who he is, he's worried about living another day. And the human race throughout in the last 2,000 years was actually a big step backward. If you look actually at the time of the great empires of Egypt and Babylon, obviously the great empire was in Israel at the time of the temple, there were actually, wisdom-wise, very, very great points of renaissance. But even going afterwards came into the dark ages, which was literally that. The human race went into a state of survival, which was maintained even through the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution, etc. But now at the Information Revolution, we're at a point where we're able to think about who we are. This is the first step. And now we can take the rules and the inner aspect, the esoteric aspects of the Torah, which is the God-given wisdom to man of really how to inhabit this world and how to live our lives according to a manual, which is also for Jews and for non-Jews. And on the surface, sometimes it is a source for division. But if you're connected to the esoteric aspect, the inner aspect, on the inner side, we're all connected. And that level of truth, which is, as we call Kabbalah, we call Chassidus, call different things, are guides for us to find out who we are and to live in harmony with ourselves and with the universe. And might I say, with God, which became, a dirty word. Again, what is, going back to the first point, what would Messianic times be like? Be a time where great technology, conquering distant planets, curing basically all diseases, preventive, by the way, as well, because we find out now, we know of stories of people who, God forbid, had cancer, and doctors told them you have no choice, and they can either spend their last year of their life in miserable chemotherapy, etc. We shouldn't know from these things. And instead they decided to go on a healthy, organic, non-processed diet and live a stress-free life, and cured cancer and cured their own illness. The body's own immune system is perfectly capable of handling anything that comes its way. Except when you eat a candy bar, you're fulfilling your hunger and you're enjoying it for also the commercialism and everything that goes into that decision to eat that candy bar. But your body is saying, anything you put into your body is saying either, great, I could use it, or okay, I'll deal with it. You're eating a candy bar, your body's enabling antibodies to take this foreign object out. It's not living off of this. So it's just an example. We're talking about a rectified society. You're talking about preventive medicine. You're talking about people living for a very long time, if not forever. Mm-hmm. You're talking about advances in economic sciences and social sciences to make sure that there's an equal distribution of resources where nobody has to worry about survival, about food, shelter, clothes, all of those basic things. Talking about conquering different planets, technology like this iBook. So that's what we're holding.
But they tried. So just I want to say...
Next time it's a perfect point. Let's talk about... I also mentioned that this is where at the exact moment cosmically of the coming. What do I mean about that? And how this relates, and then next we'll talk about it. Okay, what are the steps? What are we talking about?